Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Housewife Historian, and we are here to talk the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm going to be talking a little bit in code today because if you watch my channel and you watch my live, yes.
Is the plane going down? Are we gonna die? Why are you saying I'm sorry?
Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. I'm the Housewife Historian. You can call me Lindsay, and today we are just talking Real Housewives. We're back to business as usual, and there's so much going on in the Housewives world. Oh my gosh, I don't know really where to get started. But I do want to talk a second about Kim D and David from Behind the Velvet Rope because they are having an event at City Winery on Tuesday, the 18th, and I'm going to be there. So I would love if anyone would comment or DM me and let me know if you're planning on going. Kim D and David did a podcast. It always comes out on Saturdays. So you post like clips or whatever, and then it goes on into the Patreon. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But before I do, guys, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on. It's really important. It does make a really big difference with my videos. So let's get into this. Okay. First of all, we have to talk a little bit about New Jersey. I would love to just skip on my merry way, but it just keeps on giving. There is just more and more and more. So yesterday I made a video and I posted it to my shorts on my YouTube channel. And I also posted it to TikTok and Instagram. And it was basically stating that when Melissa was on Watch What Happens Live, allegedly, it seemed as if she pissed Andy Cohen off. And there are several reasons why I think this. And I want you guys to let me know if I'm crazy or not. Number one, Melissa said, basically questioned his credentials, and he did not like that. I think that he played it off, but internally, she sort of, I don't want to say she checked him, but I think that she kind of was very, you don't talk to your boss like that. Like Kim D said, you don't talk to your boss like that. And another thing, guys, Andy Cohen never swears on his show. He never uses the F word. He's used it one other time, and that's it. So for him to be like, well, I've been doing this for 16 effing years, it's kind of a big deal. I feel like if their fate wasn't sealed, it's possible that this appearance from Melissa could have potentially hurt Joe and Melissa's chances more, in my opinion. My hands are a little dirty, guys, because I was outside in the yard today working. Yeah, I have so much yard to take care of every time it's the weekend. I have to get out here and do stuff. So anyways, back to what I was talking about. The Watch What Happens Live appearance. So we had that. And then we also had Melissa talking about Margaret texting her during the show saying, "You're being too hard on Melissa." And Melissa tells Andy, "Marge just texted me and said, you're being too hard on me." And then he says, "Oh my gosh, Marge texted me too," right? So then we go into the questioning about Laura Lee Jensen, who is the best friend of 25 years or 35 years. And she's the one who allegedly went to Jennifer and Teresa with this rumor, amongst many other things that she told them. But she also told them about the rumor that pertained to Melissa and this guy allegedly making out in the back of this car. Now, it didn't seem like Andy Cohen knew who Laura Lee Jensen was. That was a little bit surprising to me because I think that they've been playing the narrative that she desperately wants to be a housewife, and that's why she is attempting to go a different avenue to get into the housewives versus Margaret. I was under the impression, and I sort of think Laura gave the impression when she went on Andy, but the real Andy BH. You guys know him. I love him. He's so sweet. And she basically made it seem like Margaret had helped petition for her to be a housewife, and that prior to her getting her first interview with Bravo, she had never really wanted to be part of the housewives, and so she never called on the favor for Margaret, but for whatever reason she was interested in being a housewife, and she attempted to interview, and Margaret did not seem super excited about it. But prior to that, Margaret put in a good word for her. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense that she had been interviewed twice through via Margaret, but yet Andy Cohen doesn't know who she is. Like, if you have someone that you really wanted on the show, I think that you would text your boss and say, hey, I have this best friend of 25 years, yada, yada, yada. But he didn't have any idea, or he was blatantly lying, one or the other. Because Andy Cohen made a great point. Why aren't you mad at Margaret, Melissa? And Melissa's like, yeah, but do you understand that it's not true? And Andy's like, well, even if it's not true, though, if she's spreading it, aren't you mad at Margaret? And she simply is just not mad at Margaret. Because if she was, then it would give validity to the rumor. See what I'm saying? And if Marge's best friend was trying out for the Housewives and Marge genuinely wanted her to come on as a housewife, then she would have rallied for her friend. And I don't think that she did that. I don't think that she wanted Laura on the show, and maybe she told Laura otherwise instead of just saying, like, I don't think it would be a good idea for our friendship, just like it wasn't a good idea for Teresa and Joe as a family. And we can talk about that as well. Andy Cohen made it really clear that he didn't think that there was going to be they were going to get any resolution at the reunion, which was so sort of shocking, because if they don't ever get any resolution, where does that leave the show? Where does it leave viewers? What does that mean for next season? It's just like kind of makes it a little bit more shakier for, allegedly, I think, in my opinion, the Gorgas. We saw Andy asked Joe Gorga, he was in the audience. He was by himself, which I kind of thought was weird, because normally they take like an entourage with them to watch What Happens Live. Like, there's a lot of photos of friends or family that they have taken to watch What Happens Live that we don't really know about, or we don't see because they're just in the audience quietly. But there are pictures of a lot of their close friends at Watch What Happens Live. There are, I don't know if they're still friends, but they definitely, I think it's part of like the social climbing, if you will. Anyways, people are saying that Andy Cohen was sort of saying, like, is there room for you next year? Where does this put you and Melissa? And instead of really just trying to, I don't even know what the word is, like, Melissa needs something of her own. And I don't know if Envy was supposed to be that, and maybe she just didn't get the storylines that she had anticipated from running Envy, maybe because she owns a portion of it with other people, and maybe that's why. Maybe Envy itself was just supposed to be a storyline and they were going to move along on their way. But it just really seems like we don't have a lot going on from them. And really, we don't have a lot going on from any of them. We're seeing Margaret and Joe, but all we see in their house is them grooming each other. They're like, she's trimming his nose hairs and his ears hairs, and he's wiping her ass and helping her shower because her arm's in a cast. Whatever. I mean, that's cool, but I'm just saying we're not getting like any drama storyline. Like, we're not seeing the contribution. These people, sorry, dare they have a loud car and drive down my street when I'm trying to make a live video. Just joking. Anyways, sorry about that, guys. Joe Gorga was by himself in the audience. When Andy Cohen said, he really didn't see any resolution, where do we go from here? That's when Joe, I don't remember if Andy asked Joe or if Joe like yelled from the audience, because he did look, the audacity of these people. The audacity. Oh, 2 of them, 3 of them. It's a beautiful day, so I understand people are out and about today, right? Let me know if the weather is beautiful where you're at today. Anyways, Joe Gorga was in the audience. I don't know if he was like hooting and hollering or if Andy Cohen was like, what do you think, Joe? But Joe was like, we're never done. We're family. And everyone's just kind of like, huh? What? And he looks a little drunk skis. He does. He looks a little drunk skis. And then whenever they ask about the rumor, because Andy Cohen, and this is what frustrates me a little bit, like, I got a lot of shit for talking about this alleged affair. That's how I'm going to say that. If you know, you know. I got a lot of shit for it. And my point has always been, I rarely cover things that are not on the show or not going to anticipate being on the show. If it's not going to be on the show, it's not going to be part of the storyline. Unless if it's like the side stuff that pertains to it, I don't report a whole lot on it. I try not to. Yeah, lawsuits, of course, but whatever. And I would never just report on an affair that somebody is alleging if it wasn't necessarily going to be part of a storyline, or if someone wasn't, you know, talk about it, whatever the case may be. But this is part of the storyline, literally. So Andy Cohen is asking you about if you made out with this guy. So obviously Andy Cohen sees some validity to what Laura Lee Jensen is saying. And if Andy Cohen can ask you about it on national television and you guys are talking about it on the show, either Melissa didn't know that Jennifer had told Danielle during that trip, or that that's what the women were talking about. Maybe she didn't know. She did say it was one of her best cast trips she's ever had, and she was really shocked to see what the ladies were talking about. But I don't know if she really was shocked or not, because when Jennifer, at the beginning lunch, when we saw them, she made it clear that Laura Lee Jensen had told her some very, very scandalous things, and she was telling Melissa to look out. And I'm sure that Melissa's mind was like spinning on what Margaret had shared with her best friend, because I'm sure that Margaret has a lot of things on Melissa because Melissa trusted her. And so the things that Margaret would have in addition to her arsenal, like the things that Melissa just shared with her and gave her free of charge, she probably didn't think that Laura knew about Nick, allegedly. Margaret probably told Melissa, I didn't tell Laura Lee anything. I would have never told her that, Melissa. I would have never, ever shared it. Don't you worry. You're a pretty little head. Melissa, I got this taken care of. I've been doing this for years. I didn't tell Laura about that. I would never do that. And so maybe Melissa was unsuspecting because she believed that Marge didn't even tell Laura Lee in the first place. See what I'm saying? See where I'm going? But anyways, my point being, I don't know. It's just crazy. It's also crazy. And then listening to David and Kim D today, I had heard that Kim D had gotten a lot of, I don't want to say hate. Was it hate that she got over being upset with Teresa? She wasn't upset with tree huggers, right? I mean, she was just upset about like the situation, and I think like it being brought back up on Teresa's podcast. I don't really know exactly why Kim D is super, super mad. I think that is why. I don't know if they had words otherwise. I'm not really sure, guys. But you know, I don't have any issues with them, and I appreciate them and respect them. I mean, guys, we can't always love and hate the same people, because how fun would that be, right? If everyone has the same queen, if everyone has the same favorites, it's not fun. And I've said that before on my channel, that everyone has a seat at the table here. Even people, if I personally like somebody a little bit more than Teresa or Jennifer or whomever, that doesn't mean that I don't want to hear other people's opinions. Like, this is what makes the Bravo community so great. And that's why I also felt some sort of way when all of this happened, because I had always encouraged other fans of like the other ladies to come in and join the conversation and talk about New Jersey, and not let it be like it's all about standing and idolizing these people. Like, we're just talking New Jersey here. And if you love Melissa or you love whomever, like, everyone has a place here. So I don't think, and I think it's the same with David and Kim, right? So I don't think that you have to agree with their opinions, or anyone's opinions for that matter, because it's good to have different opinions. It's good to have different perspectives. And I appreciate everyone's. So I think it was because of, I'm trying to think back. It was like, oh, wasn't it because of Strippergate, I think? And Kim D took the fall for it, but because she covered for her friend. Is that what it was? I can't remember. I think so. Anyways, guys, that's between those two. I'm sure that they'll be able to work it out. Maybe this will make its way over to Bravo, and Bravo will give Kim D a phone call, and who knows? I mean, you just never know. Anyways, I think that it's very important to remember that they could make up tomorrow through DMs, right? Like maybe all it takes is an apology. Who knows? We don't really know the dynamic of their relationship either. We don't know. So I would just say, guys, have your opinions. It's okay. I'd love to hear your opinions. Also, I wanted to talk about, I don't want to talk about this, but I'm going to. Kelly Dodd was in St. Bart's. Allegedly, Kelly Dodd was in St. Bart's with Rick, and they ran into Teresa and Luis. Now, this is more interesting than people are realizing. This is why I love to have my own channel, because I love to point this stuff out to you guys. Do you guys remember on Kelly's podcast, she got pissed off at Teresa about something? I can't remember exactly, but I think that Kelly Dodd got mad at something that Teresa and Melissa Feaster were talking about, and I don't know if it pertained to her directly. I want to say maybe it had something to do with like Brandy Glanville and like the podcast, and it was something really that didn't even affect Teresa or Melissa Feaster. But I feel like Kelly got really upset, and she went in hard on Teresa. And, you know, her and Rick do their YouTube thing like every day, and that's their sole income. And they're probably making a lot of money between their YouTube and their Patreon, because obviously the more videos you post, the more money you're going to make, right? So them posting every single day, doing the Patreon, I'm sure that they're making a very good living for themselves, right? And it's so crazy because Kelly was like rude about Teresa. I like Kelly. Kelly blocked me on Instagram a long time ago. I always at Rick and ask him to have her unblock me, but she doesn't. It's fine. Whatever. I mean, it's fine. I'm not going to be upset about it. But I do like Kelly. And I don't love her. Like, I don't think she does anything wrong. I just appreciate some of the things that she does. I appreciate that she is a little bit unconventional and doesn't like roll with the flow always, I guess you could say. Anyways, she was very crude about Teresa on her show. And she read a comment from an account that I think I had to like restrict, because they were like at Teresa constantly. They would be in my comments, like replying to everyone, posting and saying all kinds of like crazy nasty things. And Kelly allegedly read that comment on her and Rick's YouTube channel, right? It was bad. I don't know if they made up in the comments. I should try to go back and find the show and see if maybe like in the next couple of days after, maybe like Teresa reached out or Kelly reached out and they were like able to like come to a resolution, because I think it was really over something. These women are now fighting through their podcasts. You understand that now, right? Like now it's like podcast to podcast to podcast. Everyone is fighting through their podcast because they're mad about what the other person said on their podcast. It's so funny. It's giving us entertainment though, right, guys? Also, so Kelly and Rick are in St. Bart's, and who else is in St. Bart's? I'll give you one guess, and you don't need it. Teresa and Luis were in St. Bart's, right? We saw a little video of them like dancing on the table, and it looked like they were having a nice time. Teresa looked amazing. She really is a beautiful woman, and it's great to see her enjoying herself and living life and having friends and traveling. But I'm sure that it had to be a little uncomfortable originally running into Kelly, because I don't think that Teresa is the kind of person that wants to, like, she would be like, I don't give an F about Kelly Dodd. Like, she can stay over there and we can stay over here. But I feel like Luis, in my opinion, would want to engage with Kelly and Rick, because it's like another step up, right? In a way. I mean, Rick is a retired, now it's going to start raining. I have an extension cord running to my phone. Rick is retired Fox. He is intelligent. He has a lot of connections. Kelly has a lot of connections. And so I think that in my opinion, he probably made her be nice to them so that they could hang out a little bit. And now she's allegedly shit talking. She is. Yep. She is friends with podcasters. And so she told them that allegedly Louis told them, allegedly, that he was worth $100 million. Now, I don't know. I'm just saying. That's what we heard. I don't know if Louis is worth $100 million. I don't know if Louis would say he was worth $100 million. $100 million is a lot of money. $100 million is like FU money. No? I mean, David on Behind the Velvet Rope said, you know, Andy Cohen's probably worth 75. So, like, 100 mil though? That's a lot. I'm gonna unplug my phone so I don't get electrocuted. Yeah, I don't know if that's crazy to me, but yes. So, 100 million? I don't know. Would Louis really tell them that? I mean, I just can't think that he would say that. But, you know, men get inferior complexities and all that sort of thing going on sometimes. Some men, and you never know, they could say anything, really. I mean, really, they could. So, I don't know about that. But I do know that I did see Teresa posted with Melania that she's going to start her own cooking channel on YouTube. And so they had like a little production team there helping film, I would assume, to try to make it, you know, as professional as possible. Because again, YouTube can be lucrative for people. But I don't know if, like, again, I think the more you post, the more you make. You really have to like stay up with the algorithm. But maybe if she only does like one a week and like builds up the anticipation, she would get a lot of views on it. And then I guess like the more she posts every week, the more time goes by, the more she builds, I guess. That would make sense. She looked beautiful. Her hair looked beautiful. Melania looked amazing. They were cooking sauce. And I think that she would be really great doing that. So hopefully this works out for her, because maybe she's trying to just venture out into new projects. She's doing the podcast with Melissa Feaster, and now she'll be doing the cooking show. She had the football commercial. She's a very busy woman, and she's probably making very good money. So we can't fault her for that. It is a little bit ironic though, because you know, one of the sisters, the sister-in-law's sister, did her own cooking show on YouTube. Yeah, it's still there. I would share it with you guys, but I don't feel like getting doxxed today. So you could probably go check it out yourself, I promise. And then I also wanted to say there was a little bit of confusion about Dina from the Real Housewives of New Jersey and her husband and everything that happened. So just a couple of points of things that I want to share with you guys. One, I didn't do a deep dive into the Manzos, but a deep dive as in I give you guys a lot of information that you did not see on the show that you probably didn't know in some of my older videos. And I think you can check those out in my playlist. However, a couple of things I want you guys to keep in mind. One thing, there's so much. I don't know, maybe I should do a whole video on it. Dina and Caroline's brother are who were married, right? Caroline's brother. She spent a lot of money on the wedding. A lot of money on the wedding. Lots of money on the wedding. Like, there were like these butterfly pins or ladybug pins, and they were like $500 a piece, and every guest got one. A lot of money. Like, hundreds of thousands of dollars in flowers alone type of money. Okay. I don't know what their relationship was like, but I can only imagine, because people have definitely talked about it and speculated. Their relationship was definitely probably strained and not a great one, because he was always at the restaurant. She was home alone, and he was likely doing what, you know, men do, and especially old school men, you know, can have connections, and they think it's perfectly fine to have a wife at home and a mistress who's living in an apartment nicer than the wife and kids sometimes. Not always, just sometimes. And I think that it was probably a very hard time for her, even though they had a lot of money, because right, money is not everything. So anyways, fast forward, they end up getting divorced, and there's like some misconceptions going around. So David, her husband, current husband now, allegedly he was attacked twice. So they were attacked together at the home invasion after they filmed for, I think it was Adriana, in New Jersey. They flew home from California and flew in and filmed with Teresa for Adriana's, I don't want to say Christine, and I don't think it was her. It was some first communion. It was something along those lines. So don't eat me up in the comments. They came home, they filmed for it, and then when they went home to their townhouse, that people were inside waiting, and that's when they like zip tied them, and it was a home invasion. But prior to them moving to California, David had attended Caroline's daughter's wedding with Dina, and allegedly her ex-husband did not like that at all. And David was beat up very bad behind a strip mall. I think like a couple days later. But they couldn't obviously link her ex-husband back to that. So when that happened, they were scared. That's why they originally moved to California, because of the fact that David was attacked behind this, in the strip mall parking lot or something, and beaten very badly. And then they just kept a townhouse in New Jersey, obviously friends, family, yada, yada, yada. I also found this clip of Caroline Manzo, and I have debated on whether to put it up or not, but she trashes Dina. Like, Dina doesn't come around. She hasn't been to one family function, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure it's hard for her. I'm sure it's like PTSD, right? It's probably trauma. So going back to Teresa's wedding and people saying that Dolores is just a shoo-in or fill-in for Dina, what everyone is really failing to realize, and they're forgetting, is that Teresa didn't have a deal with Bravo to film until very close to the wedding. I don't know if they were debating back and forth on like money, but if you guys remember and you go back and watch all of the interviews leading up to close to the wedding, Teresa would be like, we don't know if we're filming the wedding or not. There's like some reasons we would like to and other reasons we don't, because we can't play certain music, and then we have restrictions and invites on who I can invite and who I can't invite, because allegedly she had wanted to invite Nene Leakes, but she was on a no invite list. And then obviously she would have loved to have had Andy Cohen as a guest, but he's not going to come as a guest when he's, I don't know what he is. Daddy's not going to come if Bravo's filming. And so I think that they were obviously probably in negotiations over how much she was going to get paid, whether it was going to be a spinoff, whether it was going to be a 3-part series, who knows. But regardless, Dina had sort of stood in as maid of honor, happy to be maid of honor, unless Bravo comes in and films. And then I'm out, right? So a month before the wedding, when they end up coming to negotiations, coming to a contract that everyone was okay with, and they signed for it, now she has to figure out maid of honor situation, because of the fact that Dina isn't going to be able to do that now. And so she needs, she had to fill in a maid of honor. And so I don't think that it was necessarily like a fill-in because because Dina backed out. Dina was happy to be her maid of honor until and Teresa knew all of that. She was completely okay with that. That's why, guys, the engagement party wasn't filmed, and that's why it was so small and so intimate, because at that point Dina still was bridesmaid, and Dina was still on being part of the wedding party and all of that. Even though it was in and around the New Jersey area, she just wasn't comfortable being filmed. I can't blame her. She has a lot of probably post-traumatic stress syndrome from everything that happened. So when she backed out, Teresa obviously got Jennifer and Dolores, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They got paid for it, from what I know. Who's gonna say no to being a bridesmaid in the biggest wedding of New Jersey? Like, everyone wanted to be invited to that wedding. That wedding was like what Portia's wedding was in Atlanta. Okay, even Kenya on Watch What Happens Live was like, I would have, if I was invited, I probably would have went. Even though she doesn't love Portia's like her least favorite person. It was like the thing to do in Atlanta, right? It was the talk of the town. So who's who was there, and likely the same situation with Teresa. So yeah, that's what I think about that. But I think genuinely she may not have wanted it filmed. I think that, like, again, guys, you have to remember the guest list, the music, they have to get copyrights to everything. Bravo has to get the copyrights to everything. And that can be difficult. Yeah. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for you on that subject. Beverly Hills is filming and people are talking, and I want to do that in a separate video. So make sure that you guys go ahead, hit that like button and follow, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on, and we'll talk soon.